Awesome. So here we go, guys. Like I said, feel free to pin me. I'm going to mute you guys, but you always can unmute yourself if you have to let me know of anything. Hi, Jessica. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Again, we're doing dumbbells today. If you don't have them, no worries. It's not that crucial, or you can grab some soup cans, whatever works for you. All right, let's get our class going today. We're going to start in a plank position, and I'd like us to be on our hands on the mat. So come to your best 4-point kneel to start off with. Discover a long diagonal line, or I should say one straight long line from the tailbone to the crown of the head. You're going to take one leg back, then the other. Additionally, I'm going to ask you to turn out your legs and feet so you have heels together, toes apart. Find, if not already the case, you've got your shoulders right atop of your wrist. Heart is lifted up between the shoulder blades. Hips are low enough that you have an open front of the pelvis, right? We can feel this magnetism of our upper inner thighs, yet I want us to keep our glutes from clenching or gripping, okay? On our next exhale, we bend both knees, still pressing the heels together. We're reaching with intention our hips back. Our shoulders are going to go further behind the wrist, but it's as if our tailbone, our base of the pelvis, we're leading this reach back. Then those two upper inner thighs once again remagnetize to take you back into this nice long plank. So the breathing is exhale to reach those hips back. Think of those sitting bones broadening, yet you're still squeezing those heels strongly together. And then narrow the sitting bones to return to that plank again without clenching the buttocks. Very good. You're going to go at your own pace. I'm going to give you like a posterior view just to see that. Your knees are going wide. You're spiraling the inner line of the inner thighs. Your sitting bones are broadening. So there's really not a lot of moving or sliding on the feet. We are moving slightly our shoulders behind the wrist as we reach those hips back. But that being said, we're not efforting more through the arms, such as I'm doing now. Instead, we're taking our pelvis, letting the pelvis take the lead here. So we exhale to reach back, drawing those inner thighs together. Keep the elbows not bent, but certainly not hyper-locked. So sometimes you have to give a little breathing room in that elbow crease so that we can feel that mid-back engagement. We got 3 more. Think of spirals wrapping outbound around your thighs as you reach those long hips back. Inhale to come back, heels together, toes apart. Let's go one more time. Exhaling to reach back. Inhaling to draw it forward. Let's lower ourselves onto our knees. Quick little child's pose. We're going to go right into a forearm rock and roll plank. So we're going to bring ourselves onto our elbows and our forearms. Once again, it's very important that we don't crowd our shoulders in towards our neck or ears. Reach one leg back at a time. Palms are facing down. Now we can find challenge just holding this position. We're going to also now invite a little rotation. So I'll talk you through it. Everyone, shift your weight to your left forearm, left foot, so that your pelvis and torso open up to the side. Place that right hand and forearm softly back onto the mat. Recenter yourself, pausing in the middle. Go to the other side. We're going to shift our weight slightly to our right forearm, right foot. So our chest and our pelvis open up to the left. Do be mindful you're not sinking or collapsing your weight on top of that right shoulder. And then softly place that forearm back down versus plopping it down. Pause in the middle. And we can layer on if you wish. Shift again your weight to your left foot, left forearm. You can add that right arm lifting up. And then softly float that right forearm and elbow back down. Pausing in the middle, keeping lots of length created in opposite directions between the crown of the head and the heels. Let's go ahead again. Shift your weight to your right forearm, right foot. Opening up the chest if you choose to lift that left arm up, not required. Left forearm and elbow softly land. Pausing in the middle. How about one more each way? I bet you can do it. Lift that bottom waistline, bottom rib basket away from the mat. Bringing it back down. We're seated in about one more repetition. Good. Excellent. Inhale as you open everything. Exhale as you come it back. And we're back to that little tiny rested of a child's pose. Let's just go back into that child's pose straight away. And we're bringing it back. Now, if you have your dumbbells handy, now's the time you grab them. I'm going to be using these 3-pound toning balls. Those are also fine. Soup cans can do the trick. Or nothing in your hands, because gravity is a great source of resistance, okay? So never underestimate gravity. All right, so here we go. Finding your best L sit possible. We're going to do an oblique orientated roll back. So we have this nice weight. Again, I'm going to go more than 3 pounds. 2 pounds works, 1 pound works. Going to 4 or 5 can be a little aggressive on joints like the shoulders or the neck. So let's stay away from a heavy weight. We're going to take our arms in front of us, parallel, so the wrists are facing one another. Try your best as you sit tall in your best L sit. Not only are you finding that nice connection of your sit bones to the mat, you also want to feel that your collarbone is nice and wide. Fantastic. Next, we hinge back from the hips, maybe 1.5 to 2 inches with lots of length created through the crown of the head. Roll the tailbone under, curling the lower back. I only want you going halfway back, and we're going to open those arms as we twist to the right. So the arms have opened evenly away from your chest like a starburst. Shoulders are dropped. We can find that turn out in our legs and feet like we did earlier. From your upper and your right thigh, you're going to lengthen that right leg up only 2 or 3 tiny inches. Lengthen it back down. Now you might, where you're at, barely see me lifting that right leg up. I'm not looking for something like this. We really are going to find, ideally, more length through that right leg versus height. So that we feel those low, deep abs more so than that pinchy, grippy hip flexor that can kick in if you're kicking too high. Good. Now again, we are rotated to the right. We're lifting the right leg and foot, lengthening up 3 to 2 inches. Try to make sure that left buttock is anchored to the mat. Shoulders are down. This is no small ask. I realize we got 5 more. Don't forget to smile, shoulders melting down and around the rib basket. Let's go for 3. We're looking for 2, and we're coming all the way up. Let's go ahead and find the 2 weights together like so, or you have the option of doing just 1 dumbbell. That's also an option in case you feel like this is getting aggressive for your upper body. Let's now commence scrape the barrel. I'll talk you through it. So it's again finding that nice L-sit position. We hinge back 1.5 to 2 inches. We think of gear wheels outside of our pelvis, spinning slightly to the wall behind you so that you curl that lower back. You're only going down halfway. Don't get all the way to the mat itself. And then keeping that curvature in your spine stable via the abdominals, we're going to go into this scrape a barrel motion. As if your body were the bottom of a wine barrel. We're going to go ahead and make a nice circular motion. Exhaling whenever you want. Don't hold your breath. Client's choice. When does it feel good to breathe in? I'm going to suggest we inhale as we reach the arms up, bend over. Exhale as you gather the weight in the arms towards you. Go ahead and make sure that when you lift the arms up, you're feeling yourself maintain that kind of C curve in your lower back. The lower back is called your lumbar spine. Your chest, though, is square to the wall in front of you. Let's go ahead and reverse that direction. Take even more space in the room. The bigger these scrapes are, the more you're going to feel those abdominals working, right? We want to be also careful that as we float the arms up, our shoulder blades don't crowd up. And one way we keep them dropped is we think about the shoulder blades sliding down is responsible for the arms floating up. Let's go for 3 more. Beautiful. Collarbones are wide. Feet reaching actively to the wall by your feet. Let's go 2 more. And we have 1 more. Let's come all the way up. Great. We're going to come to a 4-point kneel once again. So again, kind of like we started, we're going to keep our neutral spine and pelvis. I'm turning myself around to get a better vantage point. If you have the weight, we're going to hold on to the weight with our right hand. You'll notice I've got my right hand a little bit more elevated than the left because of what's under it. That's okay for now. Try to feel the weights even on both knees the same. And now keeping as much as you can, the chest square to the floor. we're going to do a lateral raise with that right arm. So I've got my wrist facing the wall behind me. I don't want to torque it up to the ceiling. I'm not trying to show it towards the screen. I've got that wrist in what's known as a pronated position. The forearm is in a pronated position. Inhale as you float up. Exhale as you lower, just tapping that floor. It doesn't have to be totally directed right below the shoulder. Now, something I want you to think about is this is not a left arm exercise. It is an exercise for right here. How do we get here to fire up? I bet it already is, but just in case it's not, something to think about is not how high you lift that right arm, but think about instead how well you keep that chest square to the floor beneath you versus letting that right chest open up. Okay, so we're using this guy here, our core, to prevent rotation. Also, a quick and easy way to find that connection to your abdominals is to make sure weights on both knees are the same. So as you're floating that right arm up, watch you go shift your weight to that left opposite knee, right? By keeping weight on both knees, chest square to the mat below you, and tailbone lengthened in neutral as opposed to tucked under, you're gonna feel those abdominals flare up straight away. We have 2 changes coming on deck, so keep going. Everyone looks amazing. I can see you in your windows. Beautiful. It's less again about how high that right arm goes up. It's more about the higher the right arm becomes, the more that right shoulder blade cascades down. Okay. Beautiful, friends. Let's take a moment. Bring that right hand to a hover over the floor, right? Not as high as you've been lifting it, just to a hover. Hold that. I'm going to ask us to veer the left booty line, keeping the left knee bent at 90 degrees. Float that left knee up. Now, we're not going so high with that left leg that we have no choice but to crunch or dump in our lower back. So I might only have you lift a little bit, so you feel that coming from the left glam line. Hold all of that. So now we're in a 2-point kneel, right? This is where you're going to want to start kind of falling into joints or sinking in the lower back. I'm going to keep asking you as you hold that, keep pulling in your abs, eyes on the floor. You don't need to see me necessarily anymore at the moment. Lift your navel in enough so you feel the abdominals supporting your lower back. Holding all of that from the crease beneath the left butt side. Give me teeny tiny little lifts. You can barely see on the screen if you're looking, me doing it. Keep the integrity of a 90-degree angle at the left knee. Beautiful. Keep feeling the upper inner left thigh staying magnetized to the midline that dissects you versus opening out way to the side. This is our last change. We got 6 more to go. Beautiful. Are we hyperlocking in that supporting left elbow? I don't think we would. Just a gentle reminder. Both shoulders down. We got 2, and we have 1. Excellent. Let's go back to a prone position. That means on our stomach. Let's get a little extension done, okay? So we're lying down on our stomach. Beautiful. We can lose the weights or tuning balls, whatever you're using for a moment. Right now, though, we've talked in a few classes I've already taught the past few weeks about some minor extension exercises that are beneficial for activating the mid-upper back. Let's go ahead and today, let's build upon what we've done. We're going to bring both of our fingernails onto the skin of our forehead. So I'm not looking for a hand atop a hand. I really want the fingernails against the skin of the forehead, palms are down, okay? So this way, our arms are in a diamond, or some people call it a salute. We're going to have about 3 inches of space between our legs and feet. And intentionally press your pubic bone firmly into the mat so that we're going to keep the lower back safe and relaxed. All right, first things first, we slide the shoulder blades down. We're going to float our nose 1 tiny inch off of the mat, looking down at the mat. Don't look at me at the screen. Let your fingers and fingernails support the weight of your head as you plug those shoulder blades down. Elbows are wide. On your next exhale, you're just going to float everything back down. Beautiful. The shoulders can relax at the end. 2 breath exercise. Let's do that again. We slide the shoulders down. We're floating up. Inhale to float up. Pause. Now, I don't want you to come up more than 1 inch away from the mat with the tip of your nose. But can you stretch the crown of your head super actively without looking with your eyeballs? Stretch the crown of the head super actively to the wall that's by your head. Right, so we don't see an external movement, but we feel an internal stretch. As you exhale, again, lengthen through the crown of the head and return to the mat. Let's do that again. We inhale to float up. Good. Exhale to lower down. There's one little change coming up. We're not going so high that we feel crunch or discomfort in our lower back. If that's the case, Let your feet open wider. Don't come up as high. Float up to that nice hover. Hold it right there. Shoulders are plugged down. And then soft, with length and intention, we float up. And we lower down. How high? A quarter-inch high. Those fingers are strong and long. The fingernails almost do the lifting for us. Beautiful. My head is resting on my fingernails. Fingernails are against the skin of the forehead, not digging in, of course, just backhand against the skin of the forehead. Good. Palms are facing down. We're looking for 5. Toes are heavy into the floor behind you. We're looking for 3. Let's go 2. And float all the way down. Excellent. Go into a child's pose one more time. Just stretching all of that out. And then let's get that, what I call deli slicer exercise, done for the other side. So this time we take one weight. We're holding it in our left hand. We find that nice 4-point kneel. No light between the knees or feet, okay? Find again that neutral spine and pelvis. No tucking the tailbone under, curving the spine. Beautiful. And then discovering that squareness of your chest to the floor. Discovering the weight even Steven on both knees. We're going to go ahead and float that left arm up. You might find one side is not the same experience. I'm finding that out for myself. Beautiful. That's why we have 2 sides, so we can try to even ourselves up as much as we can. Beautiful. So we're inhaling and floating that left arm up. And remember, it's not about how high you can lift that arm. That's not how we get the prize. It's about feeling what's responsible for that left arm lifting laterally is the action of that left shoulder blade sliding down. Okay? So inhale to float up. Exhale to lower down. Collarbone staying broad and wide. Great. Now, as you're doing this, let your eye line be on the floor beneath you. Again, opposition is a tenet that we want to present and see in almost every exercise we do here. Keep moving at your own pace. So if you think about your tailbone as one end of the spine, the crown of the head is the other side of the spine, other end. Think of those 2 opposite sides stretching away from one another like a 2-headed snake, okay? So we get that internal experience of length. Okay, we're not just dismissing the core's involvement. Good, excellent. Just a couple more. Check that you don't shift your weight to, say, the right knee more than the left at any point. Now let's bring that left hand down to a hover above the floor. See that the shoulders feel level, the arm is straight, we have that supinated forearm in the left. Now from the crease, just beneath the right buttock, I'm going to ask you to hold everything stable, but you take that right leg up, just like you did on the first side. Not so high that you have no choice but to crunch or dump into the lower back. Good. Feel that strong magnetism of your right inner thigh to your midline. Eye line is down at the floor, back to the neck super long. From the crease right beneath your right glute, you're going to do these small little intentional lifts, keeping that left arm hovering, so you're on a 2-point kneel. Weight is shared evenly between your right hand and your left knee and shin. Here for 6, 5, stabilizing the low back with those front abdominals. We're here for 3, we have 2, and 1. We're going to bring it right back down. Excellent work, everyone. Let's take the toning balls, either one or both. Well, we need both actually for this one. Or if you don't have them, again, no big deal. But let's go ahead and do that oblique-orientated roll back for the other side. So once again, we find our best L-sit position possible. If you're not sitting on those sitting bones, soften and bend the knees so you do feel that connection. That's how we grow the spine tall. We take our arms nice and long in front of us. Wrists are now parallel, facing one another. Good. Hinge back 1.5 to 2 inches. Eye line goes up, arms lift accordingly. Now we curl that tailbone under and invite a rotation of the torso to the left. Arms are opening evenly away from our chest like a scarf at first. And then from the inner line of the left inner thigh, next lengthen that left foot up maybe 2 or 3 inches, double checking your shoulders are staying dropped away from the neck and earlobes.
Double checking that you're maintaining that C curve in your lower back. Let's also make sure that we've got that opposite right hip solidly anchored to the mat, right? So that we will feel that full rep effort even more. Excellent. Less about how high we lift that leg, more about how much length we create. So getting a nice point at the front, a good stretch at the front of the right ankle crease, some rotation in that right femur. We're here for 4 more. Exhale to lift, inhale to lengthen down. For 3, arms are strong. Here's 2 more. And 1 more. Awesome. Let's come on back. Great. Let's get into a famous classical exercise called the 100. Okay, but we'll bring some of our contemporary mindset to this exercise by remembering that the 100 is a breathing exercise. When we inhale through the nose for 5 counts, it's to oxygenate the blood, circulate the blood system, okay? And as we exhale, we're emptying out all the air from the lung sacs, from the lowest lobes of the lungs, okay? So we have a specific breathing pattern for that reason. Now, I'm gonna offer you this. We have the weights in hand, or we can also just do it without. But again, remember, this is a breathing experience. Although it is a lot of abs, we don't want to approach it as a quote-unquote ab workout, okay? So with that in mind, pelvis is neutral. Using your psoas, we bring our knees into tabletop, where the knees are living directly over the hips. Holding on long to the toning balls or the weights, whatever you have, or no weights, we're going to flex the upper body off of the mat, just head, neck, and shoulders. Check you haven't dumped your low back into the mat or allowed the tailbone to curl up. We begin pumping the arms while finding that strong connection of the shoulder blades to the mid-back, okay? Keep in mind, the more straight you keep the arms, the more you're gonna feel our friends right here. So the breathing is, inhale through the nose, 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhale. Through pursed lips, that's 10. In through the nose, and we just did 20. See, we're going all the way to 100. And if you're using the weight, 30, we're gonna watch out we're not bobbing about like so. If you feel that bobbing about coming into play, keep moving. We're at 40. You're not engaging here enough. So we wanna feel the shoulders plugging down. And then when we do that, we feel a little more here. You're halfway through it, guys. Inhaling. And if you want a little more challenge, go ahead and rotate those forearms to a supinated forearm position. Again, you might feel a little different sensation on the mid-back. We're at 70. In, 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhale. Really elongating those arms. 80. In through the nose, sifting air softly through the nostrils. Exhale powerfully through pursed lips. We're at 90, magnetizing those outer thighs. This is our last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhale, 2, 3, 4, and hold. All right, go ahead and lower down. That was great. I know that's never easy. Let's rock up to sitting, everybody, and let's come to side facing. Good. So no toning balls, no weights. All I want you to do is find yourself on your left forearm. Discover your left elbow is living directly below your left shoulder. And let's find an active lift of our left rib basket so we're not kind of dropping our weight. Beautiful. Our knees are bent like half a diamond. We've got our right leg stacked over our left, right? And we're not at 90, but at half the diamond. Go ahead, next. As if there were burlap sacks suspended from the ceiling, wrapped around your bottom left hip. Float the left hip up. Again, avoid crushing all this weight onto that left shoulder. Think of that burlap sack guiding you back down. Or you can think of a fishing hook, perhaps, snagging onto your bottom left rib. A fisherman's up there at the top of the wall and pulls your rib basket and waistline up, and he reels you back into the water, okay? Okay, so you notice how this lift that we're doing, lifting the bottom left hip, waistline and rib basket away from the mat, that's coming more internally versus us pushing our left forearm and knee in like this. This is more of a superficial lift. I want to go a little more internal with you guys. So again, use whatever image is available to you. Just find that nice lift. Exhaling to lower. Got one more change coming up. We're going to float up, everybody. Hold. Take that right arm up. Now we're just going to lift that top right leg, lower it down. Not your pelvis, just your leg now. Your top right leg is our gesture leg, and we lower down. Keep that waistline actively reaching. Keep the same angle of bend at the right knee. And start to imagine, I'm going to ask for 5 more. Keep moving at your own pace. Imagine what's responsible for that right leg lifting isn't because your right knee is floating to the ceiling. 4 more, guys. It's because the right femur head is tilting downbound inside the dome of your right pelvis. 1 more change. We got this. 3. Let's do 2. Find that proximal initiation. Hold. Now we're going to stretch the right leg long and sweep it forward. Beautiful. Reach it long. You don't go back. Just beneath you. And reach it forward. Now when you're lengthening that leg forward, try not to let your weight tumble towards your hand. You want the whole weight shared evenly between the left shin and the left forearm. Notice I didn't say left knee, left elbow. The entire length of the left shin and the left forearm share this weight. Sweep it forward. Keep that active lift from beneath. Let's go for 3. You guys are doing great. We got 2 more. Shoulders down away from neck and earlobes. Bend that top knee, lower everything down. Good work. Let's come up to kneeling tall. If you have your dumbbells with you, use them, because we're going to do a little chest expansion, a kneeling chest expansion. So we have our wrists facing in, what we call parallel. I'm going to have us find a nice hinge at the knee, inhaling as you go back, exhaling to come forward. That much for right now. So maybe take your gaze forward. As you hinge back, maybe your eye line goes up a little higher towards where the wall and the ceiling meet. And then we're coming back up, pausing with your shoulders wide over the knees. The feet are pointed, so no tucked under toes. Inhale, find length through the back line and the front line of the body as you hinge back. Exhale to come forward. If this is aggressive on your knees, just go back a little, or do a little squat instead, so you get that idea of length, okay? Beautiful. So option to hinge back and bring it forward, or option to reach the arms back and squat forward if you're having some knee situations right now. All right, let's go for 1 more. Hold it there. Good, with those wrists facing in. Reach long arms down and back with intention. Bring them back to the sideline of your body. About right now, you might start to feel like you want to crunch in your lower back. I'm going to ask you to engage these front abdominals so that that does not occur. Right, our abs in the front are nice and long. We're reaching length through not just the arms, but through the spine as well. We're here for 6, standing in 5. We have 4, maybe go back a little further if you need more challenge. 2, and float shoulders over the knees. Great work. Let's bring it up to standing next. Let's do some plies in second position. So we're going to take our nice wide stance. We have our legs and feet in turnout. Good. Nice and wide. It's not just about having the feet far apart. Really discover the inner line of your inner thighs spiraling forward towards your screen, even as you stand here facing the computer. Okay. From here, let's go right into a nice plie. So we are exhaling as we bend the knees, creasing at the top of the hips and going down. Inhaling to rise back up tall and vertical. Arms can stay down for right now. Exhaling as we lower down. Inhaling to rise up. Now, keep moving on your end. For a split second or 2, try not to change the level of your head when you begin the plie. Of course, it does have to change at some point. But by holding the head at the same height, at least initially, when you start to bend the knees and crease at the top of the hips, you're going to feel more of that proximal engagement that we like to obtain, okay? So it's not enough just to go up and down with the knees, okay? It's not bad to do that, it's just not what we're going for right now. Good, exhaling to lower. Inhaling to rise up. Good, we're going to incorporate these arms, but again, if the weights feel aggressive in a moment, you can always lose them. I said this already, gravity is an awesome source of resistance. So here we go, we're going to take those arms up. Exhale, beautiful. We're going to go ahead and bring our elbows to a 90-degree angle. I'm going to ask you to use your upper inner thighs to invite both of your heels up. Hold. And be honest, did your butt suddenly stick back? Or maybe you find yourself rocking your way to your big toe. I want you to feel you have the pubic bone and sternum on the same plane, so no booty poking back, and feel weight across all 5 of those toes on each foot the same. Beautiful. Heels are up. Let's play with that heel height. We press the heels down with intention. Think of the upper inner thighs and inviting those heels to rise. Press those heels down with intention. I just found myself plopping them down that time. Lift the heels up, lowering back down. Beautiful. Lift the heels up. Play with that heel height. Let's maybe lift another millimeter. See that your buttocks aren't clenching. Now, we're going to extend the legs long. Keep that turnout. Weight even on both sets of toes. Keep the heels lifted as you bend the knees, exhaling as you lower back down. Beautiful. So we're inhaling to rise. Glutes do not clench. Exhaling to lower. Option to layer those arms. Arms can stretch up. Bend the elbows back to that goalpost position as you lower down. Nice. That arms are getting aggressive and you have the weights. You can just hold them like so. Maybe add a little external rotation. Excellent. We're going to go for about 3 more. There's one tiny change on deck. Beautiful. Last 2. Come down and hold it right there. Friends, lower your heels just a little bit. So they're only a 1/2 inch off the mat. Not as high as before. Keep weight even, Steven, on both feet. We side bend, creating lateral flexion in the spine. And stay low in your plie as you come back up sequentially. Side bend to the other side. Keeping length even on the side of the waistline that you're leaning towards. And then come back up. Awesome. Wrists are long. Weight again, even on all sets of toe pads, the same. This is our last change. See that your knees are not folding in. Last one. Bring it back up to vertical. Lower the heels and rise all the way up. Great work. All right, well, let's get back down. Let's go ahead onto our knees once again. And let's get a little bicep focus in. So, back to kneeling. We're going to take the arms up. Rotate the wrists so they're parallel, so not facing the ceiling. Bend your elbows, finding that 90-degree right angle. And yes, weights in hand or not. If you don't have them, that's good too. Hold that. Let's check in that our elbows are lined up with our shoulders. They're not outbound. Our forearms are not tipping in. We've got those wrists right over those elbows. Maybe you can help me feel the shoulders are flat on the back of the wrist, as opposed to crowding up or curving forward. Good. And now we're going to keep the spine long, perpendicular to the floor. As you crease at the top of the hips, lowering your hips down towards your heels, and then use the base of your pelvis to rise back up to kneeling nice and tall. Again, we're creasing at the top of our hips as we lower down, and then we want to trade that crease to the glam line to bring us back up. So we really try to actively feel the base of the pelvis lifting and lowering us up, versus us just efforting through the knees and the hip sockets, okay? Beautiful. Let's do a few more like that. There's one more change. Exhale as you lower. Shoulders stay living right over the hips the whole time. Inhale to rise. Elbows are as wide as your shoulder sockets. Inhale to rise up. Here comes our next change, my friends. Go down just halfway. See that you haven't let that booty poke back or the chest tip forward. I know you guys are working very hard. Stay halfway down and then give me tiny bicep pulses, right? We're moving from the shallow cups of the shoulder joints. What I don't want us to find us happening is the elbow joint changing as you do these tiny bicep pulses. Beautiful. We're halfway down so we can feel those abdominals working. Maybe you can also sense what's responsible for those elbows lifting slightly is the action of your shoulder blades sliding down. So there's like a pulley system of sorts at play here. You have about 5 more to go, friends. Here we go. We're here for 5, 4, 3, 2, come all the way up to kneeling tall and regroup. All right, really good. Let's lose the Tony balls for a moment. Let's get on to our right forearm and elbow. Good. And like on the other side of this exercise we're about to begin, we want to begin with our knees like half a diamond versus at a right angle, okay? So there's almost like an imaginary line from your heels to your sit bones. Good, that being said, let's start off not sinking our weight onto our right elbow or shoulder, all right? Think of lifting away with intention. We'll begin with the left hand staying on the hip. We'll use the image of that burlap sack suspended from the ceiling, wrapped around your bottom rib basket to float you up. And that same burlap sack guides us back down softly, okay? Repeat that. Inhale to float up. Exhale to lower down. Or another image, as I said before, is that fisherman sitting at the top of that wall, top of the wall over there. A fishing line has snagged onto your bottom right rib. The fisherman is reeling you up. Do you feel how that's an internal lift? Think of that. Even put your hand here on the bottom rib. Think of your hand as a fishing hook, reeling you up away from the mat versus you, I'm going to go up and down with my arm and shoulder, right? It's a different kind of sensation. Beautiful. Left arm to be nice and long now. And here we go with part two. We're going to hold that lift. Float the left leg up. Keep that hip lifted as you lower that down. So you're tilting southbound, downbound, the head of the left femur inside the dome of your left pelvis. And then when you lower that left leg, think of the two upper inner thighs magnetizing to one another. Neck is long, looking at the world sideways. Try to avoid crashing on your torso weight onto your supporting right shoulder. Beautiful. Let's go for 3. Let's do 2. Awesome, everyone. Here's our last change. Stay with me. Is that burlap sack lifting us? I hope so. We're stretching long the back line of the left leg. We bend that left knee back in. Good. We're stretching long. Whoa. Actually, we're going to sweep that left leg forward. And via the left booty line, lengthen that leg back. Excellent. I'm shaking in places I didn't know existed, such as my right wrist. Isn't that bizarre, but fun? Creasing at the top of the left hip. Don't sink up here. Get that lift for me from underside. Beautiful. Let's go 3 more. Lift your weight off of the right upper arm bone. Let's go for 2. Weight on the right shin, right forearm the same. Here's our last one. And softly lower. Woo, that feels good. Does it? When you're done, it feels good. All right, let's do some nice kind of spinal flexion the other way. So we're going to do a rollover. One of the things I want to make sure that when we do a rollover, we're never, ever doing it recklessly or haphazard, risking putting any weight on our neck. Okay, so let's be very clear about that. Okay, it's not about how far overhead the legs go. It's about doing it with control. Okay, so first thing we want to do is just lie on our back. Good. Well, let's take a moment just to bring the knees into the chest. This is your little bit of a stretch after that last exercise. And then find that tabletop again, where our knees are right over the hips. We're going to do a little prep. You extend the legs to your best 90. Now that might mean not totally straight knees, no problem. But that tailbone stays anchored to the mat. Cross one ankle, right or left, doesn't matter, run the other. Maybe allow a little openness in the knees. And then finding that lower ab connection, arms imprinted evenly into your mat. You're only going to curl, for now, the tailbone 1.5 inches off the mat, and then lengthen it back down. So we're going to do that on an exhale. We exhale and peel the tailbone only 1.5 inches up, and then we lower down. Arms are pressing down so we don't suddenly tense in our neck and shoulders. Exhale to float up. Inhale. There are no prizes right now for curling up more than 1.5 inches. So really be true to that. So we can zero in on that center here, okay? Let's go for 2 more. Even this looks minimal, but it's certainly not. You can feel that deep transverse abdominis connection. Last one. Now, we can stay here, or if you find that the rollover I'm about to teach gets a little too aggressive, go back to what we just did. Okay, moving along, we stretch our legs long to your best 45, maintain a neutral pelvis. Hinge the legs towards you. Overhead we go. The legs are parallel to the floor. Please don't let the legs drop on your face. And then like you would in a roll-up, we're going to soften the heart from the chin, still pressing those arms actively down. Visualize one vertebra going down onto the mat at a time, and then lengthen those legs back to your best 45. We're going to do this on 4 breaths. We hinge the legs as we inhale. We're exhaling to roll ourselves onto our 2 shoulder blades. Inhale to start articulating the spine back onto the mat, bone by bone. Exhale, draw the navel in and up as you lengthen those legs back down to 45 with flow now. Inhale, if you can do it on 2 breaths. Inhale to bring the legs overhead. Exhale to lower back down. Last one. Inhale, legs go overhead, no weight or pressure on the neck. And then massage the spine as you lower back down. Amazing. Grab the back of your thighs, rock yourself up to sitting. We're going to start our cool down in a moment, but right now, I want to get us into a standing position for some push-ups. So, we're going to stand, no weights are needed. Stand with your legs or feet in a close parallel position. We float the arms up. See that weight is on the toes and the heels the same. And then friends, we're going to go ahead and peel forward, much similar to how we did that last exercise. Think of bone by bone, peeling forward, head is hanging, navel's pulling in and up. When your hands graze the mat, by all means bend the knees if you need to. You walk your hands out in 3 counts, reset with hands directly under the shoulders, and then we're going to exhale in 3 increments, lowering ourselves towards the floor. So we exhale 1, exhale 2, exhale 3, inhale with length, we extend those arms. Again. Inhale, press away the earth, shoulder blades stay flat on the back of the ribs. And down, 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 pressing up. Let's go one more time, you guys. We're going down, 2, 3, and walk yourself back. Walk 1, 2, head is hanging, 3, let your head hang, slowly curl up. Nice and tall. I want the head to be the very, very last thing to rise up. And voila. Let's finish with a nice stretch. We're going to keep our hands on our hips. We're going to take ourselves into a modified first position. First would usually mean heels are touching. Right now I'm going to have you have a little space between your 2 heels. We're going to reach and stretch. Take all your weight onto your right foot. And then bring it back down. Inhale, stretch and reach, and back down. It's not about how high you can lift that leg. It's about can you stretch for where the wall and ceiling meet that way. And then bring it down. Maybe let there be a little reverberation as you lower. Just let that heart rate go down. And find that suspension. It always feels good to take that moment to suspend, and then our friend gravity comes in, right? Suspend, and gravity comes in. Maybe there's a little fascial release with that arm to help out things as well. Don't worry about it if you're not really getting that swing motion with the arms. It's all about finding that balance, that reverberation. Let's go for a couple more like that. And last one. Standing nice and tall. Arms are out nice and wide. We're going into a nice rotational stretch. Try to keep your pelvis and lower body, and lower body quiet as you twist. Inhale as you rotate, wrapping that left rib basket to the wall on your right, or if you're on the opposite side, that's cool too. And again, we're rotating, spiraling through the crown of the head towards the ceiling, feeling ourselves create space as we do this rotation between the bottom rib and the pelvis. So we're really getting that waistline to increase in length. You can layer on as you twist to say the left. Peel that left leg up just a little bit along the inner line of the leg, and then articulate it back onto the floor to a ball heel as you twist to the right. The right inner border of the foot travels up alongside the inner line of the left leg, and then we articulate that foot down to a ball heel like we would if we were coming down from a jump in the studio. Beautiful. Try to keep growing tall through the crown of the head with each inch of rotation that you create. Bringing it back, let's find that modified first position. There's maybe 6-7 inches of space between our two heels. Let's just go ahead, keep your hands down for a second so we can make it easy at first. We're just gonna go ahead and shift your weight to your left foot. Go into a shallow plie. Shift your weight to that left foot. Shallow plie. You can have the arms get involved if it's not too much to think about. In fact, I really want you to kind of check your brain out right now. Don't think too hard. Just do whatever your body's asking for. Maybe you like to have a little loosey-goosiness in the arms. Good. We're not trying to be pretty dancers. We're just giving over to our friend gravity. Okay? Very nice. Stretch and reach. You can even do less than I. Hold that moment of suspension. Let that plie reverberate you back to that balance challenge. Let's go for 4, 3, 2, 1. We're going to finish in a little modified squat. Hands are in prayer. Exhale, going into a nice contemplative, mindful squat. Tilting the torso forward and rolling, or I should say growing tall. Again, creasing at the top of the hips, find length. Skin of the palms is pressing into each other. Outer thighs is magnetized. Stand up. Last one. Creasing at the top of the hips. Length of the tailbone and the crown of the head. And back up tall and vertical. And thank you. Thank you all for joining me today. I hope you all had a good time. I certainly did. And I want to thank everyone for all their hard work. I hope you guys have a fabulous rest of your day. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.